Yes.
Bad, you could barely lift, it was so heavy. You know, with, you know, albums and Louis pictures and everything, and
I was wearing the red.
I don't miss them.
We couldn't
After a
even.
while, people you don't look at that stuff.
Right. Finding what to go on.
Good evening, everybody. We'll call this meeting of the Delta Township Board to order. Will the board members and guests please rise for the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Mohica. Trustee Cascarella. Present. Trustee Brewer. Present. Trustee Bowen. Here. Manager Fedowa.
Here.
Clerk Clark is present. Supervisor Fletcher.
Here.
And Trustee Mohica.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have the agenda before us. Any additions or deletions? If not, a motion to approve would be in order. Andrea,
Move to approve as presented.
is there support?
Support.
There is support. All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. We have a variety of updates on the various construction projects and the Ultium plant in your packet this evening. Public comments, anybody in the audience this evening who would like to speak on any topic? Now is your opportunity. Seeing no one, we'll continue now with the introduction of ordinances. We have item number 4, quote amendments to chapter 4 alcoholic liquors, and there's a recommendation that we introduce these ordinances. What's the pleasure of the board on that? Andrea?
I move that the Delta Township Board introduce amendments to section 4-20, section 4-21, and section 4-23 of the Delta Township Code of Ordinances pertaining to the regulation of alcoholic liquors. The township clerk is hereby directed to publish the introduction in a local newspaper with final consideration of the proposed ordinance amendments scheduled for the January 2nd, 2024 Township Board meeting.
Is there support?
Support.
There is support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We have the consent agenda this evening. What's the pleasure of the board on that item? Fonda.
I move the consent agenda as presented.
Is there support?
Support.
There is support. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on approving the consent agenda?
Trustee Brewer.
Yes.
Trustee Bowen.
Yes.
Trustee Cascarella.
Yes.
Trustee Mohica.
Yes.
Treasurer Fedowa.
Yes.
Clerk Clark is yes. Supervisor Fletcher.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll move down now to new items of business, and we have item number 12, the E-Tran CATA transfer station request. I know we have some folks from CATA. Would you like to speak this evening on what you guys have planned?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and members of the board, Brad Funkhauser. Tonight, I will be presenting to you as the Executive Director of E-Tran. You know that I am also the CEO of CATA. But in the interest, as we move forward with business, I've asked my deputy, Andrew Brisky, to serve as the executive from CATA to do the presentation from the CATA side, as well as Dustin Hagfors, who is the Director of Planning. This is a very exciting time in transit in Delta Township and Eaton County. In fact, the last time I spoke to you with great enthusiasm, we were launching the Route 3 extension. I think your eyes have seen that success. In fact, it is probably one of the most successful pieces of transit we have put down in recent history. You are about to, it continues to excel significantly. And just in the extension that we put out with the partnership with CATA in May, we are now about to crest 3,000 trips a month just in the extension.
That's great.
The other exciting news, which we will get to most likely at another board meeting, but I think very appropriate for tonight's presentation, is that after a year of study, the E-Tran board is going to put out a final report, which they did a fairly extensive survey on transit needs and where transit improvements could be made. At the same time, we also worked with the union to get the contract open, kind of right size what a driver wage should be, and started recruiting. We've recruited 6 new drivers, which allowed us to get service back on the street. By itself, E-Tran's ridership monthly is up 500 trips. So Very stabilized, very exciting stuff. So what's next? At the same time, we release this report in the coming days, which I will make sure you get a copy of. There is also a new service that E-Tran is going to be putting out by direction of Madam Clerk, who serves as the vice chair and the rest of the E-Tran board, and they have asked that the connector that was in service pre-pandemic be reestablished, and also Saturday service. But what we have done under their direction is we're putting the connector down from Walmart in Delta, and it will be running down to downtown Charlotte at the old courthouse and also to the new courthouse. And it'll be running on a 1-hour loop. I want you to imagine this. Of course, I'm in the transit world, so I get all geeked up and excited about transit. You will have a direct connection now from Charlotte to Delta into the CATA system with the Route 3 extension. And so that's kind of teeing up why we're here tonight. We expect that to begin on January 15th. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's good to see all of you again. As Brad mentioned, I'm Andrew Brisky. I'm Deputy CEO of CATA, and I oversee the operations, maintenance, and facilities portion of the operation. As Brad mentioned, we are at an exciting time in working with E-Tran and Delta Township. The Route 3 extension to Marketplace has been wildly successful, and our operators are equally pleased with the ridership that they see every day. And they are a very dedicated group who pride themselves in serving Delta Township. And we're very thankful for the partnership. So I just wanted to extend that to you. Before I take up any more of your time, I would like to introduce Dustin Hegg for us. He's our Director of Planning and Development, and he has prepared a brief presentation for you today to talk about our proposal to coordinate with E-Tran Services, primarily at Delta Marketplace, specifically near the Walmart, to create a transfer station to allow service throughout Eaton County to come into Lansing and have access to the whole CATA system. So with that, Dustin, thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Good evening, all.
Good
Nice to see you all
evening.
again. And again, so my name is Dustin Hagsworth. I'm the Director of Planning and Development with CATA. So what we are talking about tonight is with all this growth, with that new extension of the Route 3, with the new E-Tran connector service, it's all about how do we transfer and get from one service to another, as well as have a comfortable place to wait while we do so. So the presentation I have going on here, we're going to kind of talk about what our proposal is for a transfer hub in Delta Marketplace. Thank you. So kind of what we have proposed here, and I apologize, this is my mock-up skills. So what you're looking at is an overhead view of the Walmart parking lot on the west side of Marketplace Boulevard. The red zone is what we're proposing as a possible landing pad for a shelter and for an ADA accessible walkway to connect to Marketplace Boulevard for anyone who's using fixed route on Route 3. And then the white hatchings that you see on the parking lot, that's actually our proposal of blocked off parking spaces. So what we can do in this case is you have your fixed route vehicle that will traverse the area on Marketplace Boulevard, again, keeping it off of the parking lot. But then our smaller vehicles from E-Tran, from Clinton Transit, possibly from Future Micro Transit, all those smaller vehicles can pull up into the backside of the parking lot and pull in close to the pad to allow for that transfer opportunity. So you have both services on both sides that can access this waiting space for all the riders. So again, this allows for transferring from E-Tran, CATA Spectran service, Future Microtransit, all of that in one place. And what it would require to do is it would require some collaboration, obviously, between CATA, E-Tran, and Delta Township, but also collaboration with Walmart because it is their property. So we would need a private property agreement to make a project like this happen. And hopefully they would see also the value in that and wouldn't mind doing a 10-year agreement. Why we pick 10 years is we want to make sure everyone's investment is protected. Usually 10 years is kind of the useful life for concrete shelters and whatnot. So a 10-year agreement is kind of that sweet spot where we make sure whatever investment we're putting in there is going to be the whole useful life of it. Our estimation for a concrete pad, and it depends on what shelter configuration we decide on, We estimate that the space in between the existing sidewalk to the parking lot is about 12 feet wide, which is a good distance because you can easily put a shelter fronting the sidewalk, no problem. And then if we do a 20-foot long shelter, you would want to have a 26-foot wide pad, so that way you have your accessible ADA walkway on the side of the shelter. Again, making sure anyone, regardless of their mobility limitations, is able to access the site safely. And the pad thickness would be about 6 inches, and that's to make sure that you can secure the shelter and whatnot. The only downsides about this, obviously, is I know there's a lot of amazing landscaping down that way. We would have to remove some of that in order to put this pad in place. And we would also have to do some grading to make sure that it was ADA accessible and not too steep for anyone traversing it. Thank you. So the costs, so obviously everything costs money. But you know, what our shelters that we have a contract right now with a shelter company called Tolar. And those are the shelters that we're placing all around our entire system. And these shelters are state of the art. They come with solar power lighting. So that way, when you're waiting, it's not super dark. You have a charging port. So if your phone is about to die, you can charge it in while you're waiting for your vehicle, whichever one it may be. We also have bike racks, benches, trash cans, and then we have an advertising screen. And right now we don't have an active advertising contract. So we put art in it or put informational material in it about CATA or E-Tran, just to allow for the riders to have something visual to look at while they're waiting. And again, we have options. Our contract allows us to do a 12-foot long shelter or a 20-foot long shelter. We kind of propose maybe doing a 20-foot long shelter here because of the amount of ridership we see. Again, you have your ridership from the Route 3 from CATA, you have your ridership from E-Tran, and anyone else that's using this as a transfer hub. So the ridership is going to be pretty large to warrant a larger size shelter. And we would cover the cost. CATA would cover the cost of the shelter. We would utilize any kind of grant funds that we can to cover the cost of the shelter. Collaboration comes in where we are hoping that Delta can help us out with the agreement with Walmart and the concrete. So the concrete we're estimating at about 15,000. And a lot of that has to do with ground prep, whether or not the grading, the time of year we're doing it. Again, we're talking about a January start date for something like this. Concrete tends to cost more in the winter because you have to give like a heated blanket in order for it to cure and stuff. And that cost could also fluctuate a little bit too, higher or lower, depending on all the logistics that go into it. But in the future, with shelters, like that's our current, what we're doing. In the future, what we're hoping to eventually start adding into our shelters is possibly real-time arrival, making sure that people can track not only their cab bus, but they can also track the E-Tran connector as well, see when their vehicle's coming to them. And then also, if we have those parking spots blocked off, we are in an active process right now of doing a microtransit RFP, and that was something that I talked to you all about the last time I was here. So we're right now in the works of doing that RFP and selecting a vendor. We're hoping to get it out there sometime this upcoming summer. And one of those microtransit zones is kind of the Delta manufacturing hub, with this being one of the transfer points. So then that also allows for transferring not only from the fixed route, Route 3, also E-Tran connector, all to that microtransit vehicle that can take you anywhere around that manufacturing hub. So we're available if there's any questions or concerns, but we're really excited about this project and we're really hoping to work alongside you all to do it.
Great. No, it sounds good. Any questions, Dennis?
Yeah, well, kudos for your proactivity on this. I'm very pleased with so far the success of the expansion of Route 3. I'm also pleased the enthusiasm that's borne out, not just with CATA, but also with E-Tran. We've tried since I've been on the board. It's nice to see some progress made, and it looks like there's some community support and also community participation of need. I've witnessed it a little bit. What about the maintenance of the facility of the shelter? My concern is trash.
Understandable.
And who's responsible for that? Is it going to be the Delta Township? Is it going to be CATA? What thoughts have you have on that?
So we do have a facilities team that does maintain our stops.
Yeah,
And so they do go around the empty trash can. Sometimes we've had it where, like, let's say a stop gets a lot more trash than the can that's on site can handle. Sometimes we can go out and either do additional visits to the site, maybe even install a secondary trash can if warranted.
Yeah.
But we do maintain our sites. And then really where Delta comes in is like, if you ever go over there and you notice like somehow a glass panel gets broken and just letting us know about that, and we can have our
Yeah.
team go out there and replace those as well. So.
yeah, I noticed that Walmart has repaved their parking lot and trash accumulates on that, but I think they're sweeping it every day because it seems to be relatively free of trash. And so, yeah, I hope that we can assist you in that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Andrea.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. Really helpful, and as well as in the report, you know, just seeing the numbers on the ridership and those increases, very promising and exciting to see that connection and just that on a larger scale beyond just Delta Township. So just wondering, I know you talked about kind of the role CATA was hoping Delta Township would play both in kind of securing approval for the use of this portion of the property owned by Walmart, and then with the pad. I was just curious, in your ridership numbers, were there any surveys done, in particular, anything about customers or employees utilizing the route to go to Walmart? Because that information might be helpful as we talk to the property owners.
Understandable. Yeah, we did conduct shortly after we started doing the Route 3 extension, we let it kind of get moving, and we did conduct an onboard survey to see not only, you know, what the feeling was about the new extension, but also where individuals were going to, what was their purpose of the trip and whatnot. And that survey, those results have actually been incorporated into the E-Tran study. So that's all kind of covering all of those bases.
Do you have that data available, or is that something that you can share? I don't know if we had.
Yeah, I know
I
it'll
missed
be
those
available
details. I
in
didn't
each
see it.
transcript. I don't have it on me right this moment.
Okay.
But it was, I remember when it came to destinations along the extension, Walmart was very much a destination on the west end of that extension.
Okay, it'd be great if we could get that. Thank you.
Yep.
Andrea, this is just anecdotal, but I drive past there a lot based on where I live.
Yeah.
And I, on a regular basis, see people wearing the Walmart uniform waiting for buses. So definitely people are riding the bus to go see.
It'd just be nice to have that concrete data to share.
Understandable.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is indeed exciting. I remember when this was talked about here at the meeting a while back. And I'm so glad to see that it's progressing and the numbers are continuing to grow. I love the idea of having the shelter. I wanted to just ask though about safety measures. Because sometimes it's dark early or dark late, and there may be some people in there, and I don't know what your plans are to make sure that people are safe in the shelter.
Well, that's again where, you know, collaboration is key. So we obviously keep an eye on it anytime, you know, our drivers go by the stops, they tend to notice if something's, you know, looking a little off, and they have the opportunity to kind of call dispatch and say, hey, you know, something may be going on. But we do have road supervisors as well that go out and, you know, monitor our stops periodically. But obviously, if you all notice something in your community that's going on, having that communication with us and letting us know that that's happening, that's always a way of kind of bringing on our radar. But the benefit of having this shelter that we're proposing is that, again, you have that lighting in it. So I know right now it's
Yes.
ample parking lot lighting, but this adds that additional lighting just on the interior as well. So that way it just brings that added safety to what sometimes it could be a dark shelter if you don't have that lighting in there.
Great, thank you. Good
Okay.
job.
Hi, question. So what are the proposed times for running for this extension? What are the times for this bus will run?
So we operate the extension, I believe it is 5:30 AM to 6 PM, 6 PM? 6 AM to about 11:30 PM at night. That's Monday through Friday for the Route 3 extension. And then the E-Tran connector, that is 6 AM until 8 PM. 7 PM.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And that one operates on a hour frequency. And the Route 3 extension operates on a 30-minute frequency.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Other questions?
I was just-
Just to follow up, I thought I heard you say that, the drop-off location at Walmart was selected because that a survey or some indication you thought that was their preferred, stop.
Correct. Yeah, it's a preferred stop, not only because that's where a lot of the ridership is going in the extension right now, but also with that ability of having the smaller vehicles to kind of utilize the stop on the backside and having the fixed route already accessing that stop on Marketplace Boulevard. It allows for more of a transfer opportunity than if, let's say, we picked somewhere on
I understand
Saginaw.
that, but I thought I heard you say that, and I may have misunderstood, that the potential E-Tran riders had preferred or had a desire for a stop in the West Lansing, Delta Township at the Walmart location.
Yeah, yes, I did. Would you like to speak on behalf of East Rand?
Actually, I asked the same question about the original connector before the pandemic ran from Walmart in Charlotte to Walmart here. And so some of it has the history there, but what we found was when I asked the question of, and Madam Vice Chair will remember this, why, and there were people who wanted to go from Charlotte to this Walmart.
Even though they have a Walmart at Charlotte.
I was very clear on that question and the answer was yes, we like your Walmart.
They're
better,
analyzed.
so.
It's
And
it's larger. And the addition of Route 3, the expansion, before they were just brought there and left, kind of left there. I mean, you could do the connector and then you go to Walmart and there's, unless you get, there's another E-Tran, there's not a way to get anywhere else from that pre-COVID. So this all
Right.
brought it all together. And I've seen riders get off the Route 3 extension and go, I believe they're working in the hotels because I see them kind of the same.
Mhm.
That's how I
Yeah,
come to work, and they're coming to work when and they're getting off the bus.
One follow-up question. You said about lighting, solar lighting. I mean,
Mhm.
is that gonna be bright enough in the winter months with sustained darkness and all that?
We believe it will be, yes.
Okay.
Yes, we started a lot of our new shelters, if you go anywhere around the region, they're all the same with the solar panels on the top and the lighting on the inside. And so far, we haven't received any negative feedback about not being bright enough, even in the darker months that we're in right now.
Okay. All right.
Andrea, did you?
I was just gonna make a motion. I did not have another question.
Go ahead.
Okay. I move that the Delta Township Board authorize the township manager to pursue a property agreement for the transfer station and authorizing the expenditure for subsequent concrete work, estimated cost of $15,000 to $30,000 intended for an E-Tran CATA transfer station.
Is there support?
Support.
There is support. Any discussion? See none? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you all.
Appreciate you.
Thank
forward to working.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Brian, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and board members. Several updates. You should have in front of you a new key fob for the building. So this is part of a project we did for this building and our two fire stations. So we have a new kind of a door access module that's really kind of brings us into this century. Our old one had some challenges with keeping doors unlocked sometimes or locking them. So this gives us a lot more advantages in terms of managing after hours and that type of thing. So it's just come to my attention. This is like it's almost like an Apple tag. So just be careful that it doesn't fall out. I've heard some people say that. I have not had a problem with mine, but just have one now. We're continuing a couple insurance projects. The enrichment center roof was done last week. So that was damaged in the storm. So that's just the pitched roof. That's not the flat roof over the classrooms that we've had trouble with in the past. But the part over the nice area, so it's nice to get that done and out of the way. By the end of the year, we're still working with insurance on, in our ambulance, which was totaled in that accident. The past week or two, we've had consultants, a consultant here, helping us implement a new planning, zoning and engineering module for BSNA. So this, interfaces with our other BSNA modules, especially, with buildings. So, really meant to improve the communication and efficiency, across departments, namely planning and building, that type of thing for, site plan, building plan review, building permits, all that stuff. We are working with that and looking at our processes and working for improvements on that. A couple openings or Zap Zone, Zap Zone XL, we have their grand opening noon on Friday. So we're excited for that. Just another piece of news you may have read in my reports, but iPot, which is a barbecue and sushi and hot pots restaurant, is opening in the old Golden Corral. So that space will be taken by another restaurant. Fox 47 was here today doing a story on our sheriff substation project. Just give you a heads up. Yes, Asia is still here, so welcome. A couple items upcoming, the MLK, we do have a table for that, for the MLK luncheon. So any board members who are interested, please let us know. January 23rd is Michigan Township Association Capital Conference. So that's in Lansing. So if you let us know, we can get the early bird before the end of the year. Sign up for that. And then March is the MML Capital Conference. So their registration is open for that as well. I can't remember the date. Do you remember, Mary?
The week of the 23rd, I believe. I'll get you definitive dates. They just sent that out today.
And then last but not least, I just wanted to thank all of you. It's been a very challenging year with all the projects, really unprecedented. Bigger projects going on and a lot of challenges. So as on behalf of staff, we appreciate your support and guidance through all of that. And I would really like to thank my staff, all of the township staff across the township for this year and all the hard work and, you know, somewhat of a chaotic year, but I think we've moved a lot of projects forward, particularly my manager's office staff. I really appreciate all their work. So with that, happy holidays and happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Brian? Yes.
Now that we've had the ordinances about the alcohol, the changes in the liquor, when will we expect to see the changes pertaining to hotels and helping our hotels tighten their security?
We've discussed that internally. So we have some legal work. If you remember from the memo that we had, I think we discussed that in the summer and I think in July or something. So I apologize. We had some, some transitions with this, our Delta Patrol and that type of thing. So we have some policy work to do on that, some legal work to do with some of the, so we laid out several kind of different options. So we'll hopefully pick that up here soon. So I apologize that
As long
that's
as it's still on the
lagging a
radar.
little bit. It is definitely on the radar.
Great.
Any other questions for Brian? Great, thanks, Brian. Anything from the rest of the board? Brenda?
Just happy holidays to all of you.
Same to you.
Thanks.
I was hoping to have a purple sheet tonight. Our new precinct, the Church on Broadbent, notified us early December that we would not be able to use their facility in 24 because they're doing a major remodel. We are required by law to have an alternate place by January 9th. And a precinct site must be approved by the board, not the election commission. So I have been in conversations with Great Lakes Christian College. I think we've come to an agreement from our end of a site that would be acceptable and meet our needs. They are discussing what it means to them and their world with students and sports and that. But it's a small area in the Doty Center. That translates to if we don't have anything by January 2nd, we will be forced to move voters temporarily for the year into merge them into another existing site, which there isn't one handy to their physical location. So if that doesn't work, people are going to have to drive farther than they normally would.
Mhm.
So let's see what happens.
Anything else? Any final public comment? Wish everybody a very happy, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We are adjourned.